I was 14 at the time of the 38 hurricane. I attended school at the center school up on top of Vine Street. Of course, that's gone. And then Main Street had Moulton's drugstore, Van Nuys fruit store, Allen and Belcher's goodie shop, Bursa's garage, the tavern, Nichols out behind the tavern. Those were all, of course, well out of the danger zone of the fire and the water. What is now Centertown, the main part of the building was, the water moved it somewhat back from the highway. And then, of course, on the other side, the transcript was closest to the road, and then the grain store where they believed the fire started was behind that. Bellows Nichols Agency was a rooming house, and next to that was Fred Wise tire garage, where Maggie's is now, and of course, the Peterrough Bakery and Wyman's Market were in the next building. And then there was one other building out behind where Little Roy's is now, was a garage, and that was destroyed in the fire. The diner wasn't there at the time, so that was not involved. The railroad station was still there at the time. And then I remember that day they came up through cutting up the trees, and digging up the stumps and loading them on a truck. And most of the stumps went up to what is now the playground. It was dumped in the swampy area. I don't really remember. I think things were kind of same as usual, I guess. I don't have any outstanding memories of it at all. We were out without power about 4 days. My grandparents kept me pretty close to home. My mother was a telephone operator. She was in the next room over here where the historical building offices was the telephone office at that time. And she stayed there all day and stayed into the night until virtually there was no lines left working, so they all went home. Next door neighbor, George Knight, was a fireman, and he walked my mother home through the trees and the water and what have you. She got home about 7 or 8 o'clock that night. Well, of course, most of her memories were involved in, establishing communications between various people during the day through the telephone switchboard. So she was not outside, so of course she had nothing to talk about what she'd seen or anything lively. It was just fire department and this and that and the other, trying to maintain communications as long as the lines were in the air. But mostly in the 38 hurricane, it didn't affect the western end of the town at all. People on Summer Street and Lower Concord Street, of course, were flooded out, but that was quite normal for them, except the 36 flood waters were higher than usual, but people on Summer Street and Lower Concord always had a problem. But there wasn't any big thing like the flooding the center of the town or something like that. The people's feelings about dam construction or something like that, in my opinion, were a lot different years ago. They proposed the dam, and I don't recall any large discussion about, oh my goodness, you shouldn't do that, oh my goodness, you can't do that. Well, how is it going to affect me? They went ahead and built it, and that was it. And it proven its worth over the years.